This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
Okay, Bruchim Abam, welcome everyone. We continue in the Sefer Orchos Chaim of the Rosh. Now, the shiurim on the Orchos Chaim of the Rosh are sponsored by the Saka family, Le'iloi Nishmas, Bachia Bas Shmuel, and today is her yahrzeit actually. So on this occasion, we wish that Neshama have an aliyah, should be a melitza yishar for her whole family, as bias goyal tzedek. Okay, so we continue on in the Orchos Chaim of the Rosh, and we spent one day studying the headline of the Sefer, sort of the heading of the Sefer, which is Hadvarim sheyizor bahem, the items that one should be careful, lasur mimoik shemaves, to turn away from the traps of death, v'lear ba'orach chaim, and to be illuminated in the light of life. The first one being v'hisrachek min ha'gaiva b'tachlis harichok, to distance oneself from Gaiva, in the epitome of distance. And Rav Goldberg cites the Makar HaChaim of Rabbi Binyamin Zilber, who says that the Makar of the Rosh is the Mishnah Navos, Parak Daled, Mishnah Daled. Reb Levitas Ish Yavna Omer, Ma'oid Hava Shval Ruach. And Reb Chaim Kanievsky cites the that which we have in Soita, that we don't paskin even that you could have a Shminis Sheva Shminis. The Rambam in fact says in Hilchos Deis, it's mashma that he paskins like Reb Nachman Bar Yitzchak, that one cannot even have a eighth of an eighth. Okay, be it as it may, the Rambam says that when it comes to all midos, one should go in the midah beinonis. The Rambam Hilchos Deos Halacha Gimel writes, Parak Beis Halacha Gimel, that there are certain deos that one cannot take a average approach, a median approach, but one needs to go to the extreme. That is Gaiva and Kas. So be it as it may, the first admonition of the Rosh is to distance oneself from Gaiva in the epitome of Richuk. But then the Rosh adds, V'chein min Khanifos, and likewise from flattery. Now, the lashon of v'chein implies the same way you should go to the extreme when it comes to Gaiva, one likewise should go to an extreme when it comes to flattery. But wait a second, the Rambam says in general one should take the shvil beinonis, the mean road, the medium path. And it's only when it comes to Gaiva and Kas one should go to the extreme, but l'cha'ira, when it comes to Khanifos, one can have and utilize maybe a small element of Khanifos. So why would the Rosh say v'chein? By the way, we mentioned the source of the Rosh, that one should take the extreme when it comes to Gaiva, is the Mishnah Pirkei Avos, me'oid hava shvar ruach. You should be very, very humble. But it doesn't say you should very, very much stay away from Khanifos. So why does the Rosh say v'chein? So Rav Goldberg says that you have to say that v'chein is not going on betachlis harichuk. When it says, and similarly, it doesn't mean just like Gaiva, you should distance yourself in the epitome of distance. Likewise, Khanifos, you should distance yourself from the epitome of distance. But v'chein is the same way Gaiva is moikshe maves, one of the pitfalls of death, going back to the heading of the Rosh, so too Khanifos is also one of the pitfalls of Khanifos. So it's interesting. What's Khanifos? What's Khanifos? Khanifos is when the guy next to you is on his cell phone during Chazar Hashatz, and after davening, you say to him, Shalom Aleichem, how you doing? It's so nice to see you. And you smile at him as if he didn't do anything wrong. So you're a flatterer. How could you countenance that? Khanifos is when you see somebody flagrantly violating halacha and you just smile and how's everything? You're such a tzaddik. It's so nice to see you. So the Chafetz Chaim actually lists Khanifos as one of the Lavin, Lav Tes Zayin in the Sefer Chafetz Chaim, quoting the Sefer Yereim of Rav Elazar Mitz and Rav Shlomo ibn Gabriel. And the Rabbeinu Yoina tells us, someone who sees in their friend that they have iniquity, and the person tells them, you didn't do anything wrong. You're violating Teichacha, it's Sheker, and it's Khanifos. By the way, says the Rabbeinu Yoina, Khanifos falls under the pasuk, Matzdik Rasha u'marshiat Tzadik Toyavas Hashem Gam Shneim. It's a Toyeva. Flattery is a Toyeva. Says Rav Goldberg, maybe that's the juxtaposition of flattery and Gaiva. They're both Toyavas Hashem. They're both the abomination of God. But then Rav Goldberg offers that lest one think, okay, I have to be very, very humble. I have to distance myself from arrogance very, very much. So then the person is in danger. Someone who is very far from arrogance and is very humble may fall in the pitfall of flattery, because they think to themselves, who am I to tell somebody what to do or what not to do? I'm mind by my own business. I'm a nothing, a nobody, a zero. So therefore, once we've said you need to be very humble, in the same breath we need to warn, and you need to make sure that you don't flatter. And Rav Goldberg offers another suggestion as to the juxtaposition of Gaiva and Khanifos. There's a Gemara in Sanhedrin Daf Chav Daled. On the pasuk in Zechariah, I lifted my eyes and I saw two women were coming, and with the wind under their wings, and they carried me, and I said to the angel who spoke to me, where are you taking me? And he says, I'm going to build a house in Bavel. And the Gemara says, Rabbi Yochanan said in the name of the Rashbi, these two evil character traits are flattery and arrogance. And it's going on the Torah scholars in Bavel, that regarding Inyonei Halacha, they were arrogant, but regarding their interpersonal relationships, they did not rebuke and they flattered. So here again we see a combination of flattery and arrogance. Now, Rav Goldberg likewise cites a comment of Rabbi Akiva Eiger in his letters. Rabbi Akiva Eiger is sort of bemoaning the practice that when people would write letters to each other, they would write all kinds of honorifics, Harav, Hagoyin, Hatzadik, Hamuflag, Rosh V'Rishon L'chol Davar Shebekadusha, Mahula Bat Tishbachos, Roidev Stakav Achesed, all these honorifics. And Rabbi Akiva Eiger said, if I would have had the strength, I would have abolished them. Too many is difficult, too little is not correct. The writer may be over flattery, and the one who it's written to, he's over possibly avak gaiva. And therefore Rabbi Akiva Eiger says, I don't even read them. Let's move on in the Orchos Chaim of the Rosh. V'chein min hasheker v'hakazav. Likewise, one should distance himself from lying and falsehood. Now, when it comes to lying, we know that's one of the things that one needs to distance himself. In fact, it's one of the only things the Chumash says to be marchik. It says, midvar sheker tirchak. And what would the connection be to Gaiva and Chanufa? There's a pasuk in Mishlei, Toyavas Hashem sifsei shaker. So we have three things that are a toyeva: Gaiva, Chanufa, sheker. Rav Goldberg cites Rabbeinu Yoina. What is the significance of something being a toyeva? He says anything which is a toyeva, the Rebbeinu Shalom does not. The Rebbeinu Shalom delivers the person into the hands of the Yetzer Hara, and it's very difficult for a person to overcome. Okay, Be'ezus Hashem, we will pick this up tomorrow. Thank you, everybody, for joining again today's learning. Shabi Lila Nishmas Bachia Bashmuel, dedicated by the Saka family on her yard site. The family should only have Besuras Toivos, Adbias Gal Tzedek. Wishing everyone a wonderful day. Kol Tov.
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.